You're listening to today's inspirational message on the Proverbs with Kurt Bjorklund.
When I was in college, I remember visiting a lecturer, renowned professor coming to the college I was at and giving a lecture. And I remember at one point he was speaking quite forcefully about God's heart for the poor and what that would mean for our lives. And he stopped and he said, "Most of you don't give a damn about the poor. And I can prove that you don't give a damn about the poor. And the way I can prove it is you're more concerned that I just swore than you are about what God says about the poor." And he had me. I had been tracking to a degree with his word, and all of a sudden I was saying, you can't say that in a Christian setting, in a chapel, in a lecture. And what's real is that a lot of times we tend to want to domesticate God. And here's what Proverbs 1 says, and many see this as one of the bedrocks of the book of Proverbs, verse 7 of chapter 1. "The fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. Fools despise wisdom and instruction." And so here you have this simple statement that says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom or knowledge. And here's why this is so important is fear. Many Bible teachers have defined as simply reverential awe. And that's a good definition. And it makes a lot of sense. But the fear of the Lord includes certainly the idea of reverential awe, but it also includes the realization of a perfect and holy God who's right to demand from me whatever he wants. We could say that the fear of the Lord, according to Thomas Constable, is an affectionate reverence that results in humbly bowing to the Father's will. It's a desire not to sin against him because his wrath is so awful and his love is so awesome. A.W. Tozer once put it like this. He said, "The greatness of God rouses fear within us, but his goodness encourages us not to be afraid of him." To fear and not be afraid, that is the paradox of faith. And here's, again, what is so significant in this idea, and that is that we don't just simply quickly say, God is about reverential awe, and so just have a little reverential awe. But at some point you say, if God has said something, then having fear that God means what he says and can act accordingly will actually bring us closer to understanding and appreciating wisdom. In fact, when you look at this text, what you see is that the opposite of this is fools despise wisdom. And that word for despise is the word bazah in the Hebrew. And it means to treat something as if it has little value or as if it were worthless. And here's what this really means ultimately, and that is that when we put ourselves in a place where we're saying, I can read God's word, I can hear it, but I'm more irritated that that speaker swore, or I am more concerned about what I'm having for lunch, or I'm taking in a little bit of Bible this morning, but what I'm really interested in is how my first meeting's going to go. Now, again, those things obviously have significance, but all of a sudden what we're doing is we are saying, I'm not just simply responding to what God says with a sense of respect or fear, reverential awe, whatever's there. It isn't incorrect to say that reverential awe is misguided, it's not incorrect to say that that is a thing, but it's misguided when we just merely think of it that way, because fear is the Hebrew word yareh, and it has at least three meanings in the Hebrew: dread and terror. It has the meaning to stand in awe and then to respect. And what that again means has kind of these polar opposite ideas of shrinking back in fear and drawing close in awe. That's a note from the Net Bible phrase of what that means. And so today, Will you draw near in awe and recoil a bit in fear at what God reveals to you in His Word?
Thanks for joining us here today. There's a lot of great content to explore on Orchard Hill Plus and on the Orchard Hill main feed from the weekend. Have a great day.